Hello, my beautiful souls. This is Moonseeker of Light Guardian, and today I'm doing a karmic reading. And this is going to be for divine masculines who are in a karmic or third party situation. So let's see what's going on for the divine masculines in a karmic situation. What is the current energy of this relationship? If you're interested in a similar reading like this, I do offer karmic readings and third-party readings on my website. Just check out the description box below to get the link to my website. This is a general reading, so please take what resonates and leave the rest. If it isn't your story, it's not your story, and that's okay. I do use he and she, but they are just energies. They're not gender-based. So let's see what's going on. What is going on for divine masculines in karmic relationships? We have here temptation. So there's some kind of temptation going on. This could be that perhaps the divine feminines are tempting the divine masculines to come back out of that, to perhaps come to their senses. But more so for the most of you, this is going to be temptation from the third party, from the karmic in this relationship. The divine masculines are being tempted some way by the karmic or the third party person. We have here fantasy. They're perhaps living in a fantasy world, a world where they are playing out some kind of fantasies as well, perhaps. Fantasies they're perhaps too afraid to engage with you in. This could be sexual fantasies. This could be fantasies in that they are perhaps living in this fantasy world trying to uphold some kind of norm, some kind of belief that this is what family is, this is what relationships is, this is how they were brought up, this is what they were taught. Uphold some kind of fantasy image of what it is to be a couple, because perhaps the person that's watching this, you, doesn't fit this norm, this idea of how families are supposed to be or relationships are supposed to be according to their background, according to their family. We also have here cleanse. But they're looking to cleanse and release and purge. They're wanting to submerge themselves in their feelings, their emotions, so that they can finally purge these unwanted feelings of guilt, remorse, limiting beliefs, feelings that keep them in a place where they are living a fantasy world, a fantasy life, a fantasy relationship where temptation is leading them, where temptation is the main ingredient. We also have here obsessive. So they're obsessing over something, they're obsessing over each other. They're perhaps looking at like each other as ownership, as in they're obsessing over so your person, the divine masculine, he's looking at this person and they're obsessing over them, obsessing where they're going, what they're doing, who they're with, obsessing having this toxic relationship, having this, trying to have this ownership perhaps. This could also be reversed, that your divine masculine, the person they're with, is obsessing over them. Where are they going? Who are they talking to? Are they talking to you? Talking to the divine feminine? This is like this obsessive, controlling, toxic energy. I'm gonna get one more card. Thank you. And we have here repeating patterns. So there are repeating patterns going on here in this relationship. There's like, there's the temptation. They get led away from you. The divine masculine gets led away from you. They go into this fantasy world. They're feeling this urge to purge this because they know it's a fantasy. They don't want to live in this fantasy, but something's keeping them there. Temptation's keeping them there. There's obsessive behavior going on. There's this wanting to own the other person, own the divine masculine. And these are repeating patterns because the divine masculine needs to learn. There's a lesson here. He needs to learn about temptation, about fantasy, about perhaps finally stepping up and busting those images, those views he has when it comes to relationship, when it comes to family, just because that is what his family taught him, just because that is what society taught him, doesn't mean it has to be his reality. It's for him, it's a fan. That's not what he wants. He wants something else. He needs to cleanse and release and purge those things so that these repeating patterns can be put to rest. So, bottom of the deck here, we have my path. This is just the path that the divine masculine has to take, because he has to learn these repeating patterns. He has to learn to walk his path rightfully and truthfully and authentically for him, not leaving it for someone else, for someone else's idea of something. What else do we have? Let's actually continue with these cards. I want to say temptation. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to get some messages here. We're going to get some messages here on temptation first. I'm not ready to take off my mask. When it comes to following temptation and being led by temptation, the divine masculine is not ready to take off their mask. They're not ready to take off the mask because they're not ready to bust this bubble, to bust this notion, this idea of this fantasy. Speaking of fantasy, what do they have to say about fantasy? What do they have to say about fantasy? Old familiar patterns need to go. And we've seen that here. They need to go. This fantasy, this bubble, whatever it is, he's allowing himself to be a part of, this obsessive, controlling relationship, it needs to go. This fantasy needs to go. It might be familiar. It might be what is the easiest for him, but he needs to let that go now because it does not serve him. Cleanse. What does he have to say about cleanse? I am realizing my truth. The divine masculine is realizing his truth so he can start cleansing and purging and letting go of people, places, and things that no longer serve him. Letting go of this kind of toxic relationship connections. Stop self-sabotaging for himself. Obsessive. What does he have to say about obsessive? In my head, I saw things playing out differently. So this is not what they envisioned for themselves. They had this fantasy. Even though that they thought that this would bring them closer to this fantasy, this pretend life they wanted, this is not what he got. In his head, he saw things playing out differently. Not like this. Not being owned by someone, not trying to own. For some of you guys, it will be that the divine masculine is trying to own this other person, trying to control this other person. For some of you, it's the other way around. The third party, like the karmic, is trying to control the divine masculine. In his head, he saw things playing out differently. He thought that maybe if he conformed to the peer pressures of his family, of society, of whatever it is, he would feel okay. He would, be in a place where he wasn't thinking about you anymore, where he wasn't wanting to break free from this. But that's not how it played out. Instead, it became this toxic thing. Repeating patterns. For now, I'm going to have to move away from us. For now, he's going to have to put you and him on hold, on ice, because he needs to focus on these repeating patterns. He needs to focus on the lessons at hand. He has to focus on clearing this karma, and he can't do that while trying to perhaps maintain something with you, because it's too hard with this person always butting in. What he needs to do is focus on what the task at hand, which is to cycle this out, move away from this once and for all. Not just do it now to later go back to this, but do it permanently. Do it permanently so that he can learn his lessons, cleanse and release, and cut all ties. Let's see what else we have here. As I cut the deck, the first thing I see here is strength. He's finding his strength so he can be focused. He needs to be focused when it comes to clearing these patterns, to learning the lessons here. So he's no longer driven by temptation and fantasy. Okay, why is temptation here? Temptation is here to teach him something about perhaps being victorious, being successful. This is about recognition as well. So this is, perhaps he wanted to be recognized for his attempts, for his passion, for his, you know, whatever. Maybe there was something that he thought he needed to, maybe he felt like, you know, oh, the more I can score, the, you know, the better it shows that I am. And because he was in this bad place and he had this fantasy that perhaps, you know, the more women you have, the more men you have, the more recognized you are, the more you are. There's something temptation that had to do with him being boastful, being all that, like that kind of energy. That's why temptation is here. He wanted to prove something to himself, perhaps, or to someone else. He wanted to prove to someone else that perhaps, you know, yeah, no, look, I can score, I can get women, I can get men, you know, I can be this person. So that's why temptation is here. Why is fantasy here? We have the Sun card here. Fantasy here because he thought this is going to bring him happiness. He thought that this is what was going to lead him to that place of sunshine, this joy, this, you know, this going to be all this growth and things. But that's not it. Just like he was trying to find victory in temptation in other people, in pursuing other people, spreading his seed. He's not going to find happiness in a fantasy because it's a fantasy. It is not reality. Fantasy is here because he thought that was going to be his happiness. Why is cleanse here? Because there needs to be personal growth, just like he perhaps thought that, you know, in his fantasy he's going to find his growth, there's going to be growth. No, in the Seven of Pentacles, this is personal investment, investing in yourself. Cleanse is here because he needs to cleanse people, places, and things in order to invest back into himself. This is why perhaps for now he has to move away from us, move away from you and him, because he needs to plant some new seeds, build some new foundations. He needs to invest in himself and nourish himself so that he can grow and prosper, so he can become and step into his divine, authentic self. Why is oppressive here? We have Eight of Pentacles. Someone's working hard, working really hard in the material world to be in control, perhaps, to be in control over him, or him being in control over this other person. But this is also working hard in the material world on your craft, on learning, on gaining something, on your coins. Perhaps it's obsessively working hard to make money, so he can perhaps build a new future for himself and for you. Why is repeating patterns here? We have here the Nine of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. So repeating patterns is here because this is, I feel like, even though the Divine Masculine here is wounded, even though he's holding on to this stick here, he's holding on to this stick and he's looking in this direction, he's looking at all the stuff that's happened, he's looking in the past, he's looking at the events that's led him to where he is. He is wounded, he's hurt, but he's gonna make a last stand. He's gonna make a stand to do this one more time, repeat this pattern one more time, so that he can then heal this, so that he can move forward away from this. This page is moving away from everything, away. He's walking in this direction, so that he can repeat this pattern one more time, learn from it, so he can take this pentacle that he's nourishing, and because he's investing in himself, he's healing, he's growing, he's working hard in the material world, or will be working hard in the material world. Take this pentacle and bring about a message about an opportunity, an offer, a solid offer in the material world. And this offer could be that he's bringing it to you, or he's just giving himself an opportunity to break free, an opportunity to not be attached to this anymore. Bottom of the deck here, we have the Hanged Man. So there's going to be a time of stagnation, a time of being suspended. But during this time, he's going to be gaining a lot of enlightenment. He's going to be getting a lot of downloads. He's going to be absorbing all the lessons, the things that the universe has in store for him. He's going to be learning and seeing things from a new perspective, gaining perspectives of others, learning things, how to turn things around so that he can bring this offer either to you or to himself. So guys, that is today's reading. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share if you feel so inclined. And if you're interested in a karmic or third-party reading, all the information you need is in the description box below. Thank you again. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.